One of the main issues that men are concerned with is with the affair of religion. It's literally a disease. It has turned into that disease, not because it is such or it is inherent to become such, but rather because men have twisted everything. What was natural to them, or what was supposed to be natural, has become distorted completely over time. And now they are in the dark and have so twisted the concepts that they can literally cannot find their way back to the natural state. Men have reduced religion to the state of slavery that they have reduced humanity as a whole. They believe that in order to communicate with God, with their Creator, they are supposed to walk into a building and actually converse somehow, not literally, but communicate with their Creator through some medium that, with some sort of imaginary twist, is in the building that will arrive at such communication, and that is not true. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, God does not live in a building. The temple in which God lies is within yourself, literally within your mind. Men are not advanced as of yet to understand that their mind is actually the seat of their spirit. They are spirit. So through the mind, you can actually communicate with God because God has in his or her, both of them, I don't know what pronoun, we have to come up with a pronoun that include his or her. God has literally given men an opportunity to commune with him or with him and her through a medium. There is literally a father fragment, a particle of God that resides in you. That is, given the condition that you indeed have a soul, because not all men living on this planet have a soul. Many of them are devoid of such soul. Therefore, they are not really qualified to be called human. They are more of a human mixed with a robotic mind. That's what makes it so unnatural for them to be called human, because men literally, if they have the moral ability necessary to allow them to have such father fragment, to qualify them to become a human, they have to have that condition met. And unfortunately, that is not the case. It is no wonder that we on this planet have arrived to a state of living or being that is completely off the off balance. Men have to recognize that in order for them to join the evolutionary ladder, they have to communicate with that father fragment within them, because that father fragment is that which would enable them to reach higher, literally, to go from material to spiritual. It is not given to men automatically to become spiritualized. Only through that father fragment do they become spiritualized. The father fragment actually guides them throughout their entire life so that they can become better. Leave the animal sphere per se. Not that the animal sphere has anything wrong with it, but go from one realm to go to a higher realm, so that they can transcend their mortal selves, because life is a continuous evolutionary activity. You, when men leave the accoutrement, the vehicle, the body, they do not actually die. That's why death is really not the word to use, but rather a transitional stage. When they leave the body, they continue to live and they go to a different sphere of activity whereby they continue their learning. Men have to understand that the bridge between the visible and the invisible must be breached at one point. I would rather say sooner than later, because we are at a point where there shouldn't be, where such mystery shouldn't exist any longer. That is the reason why it probably becomes necessary at one point to have a different kind of man inhabiting the planet, because those who cannot move the evolutionary ladder through the evolutionary ladder must continue experiencing life through another planet, another sphere of life that is how would I say that, equivalent to their spiritual evolution, their spiritual understanding. We are no longer allowing, and by that I do not mean Rubens, we, those who are also communicating through Rubens, we have taken the decision to not allow this particular kind of activity to continue on Earth, because Creator Source has deemed it time to stop the duality. We must move as others have and continue to do. There are other planets that are much more advanced than that of planet Earth. And it is time that planet Earth joins the community of ascending individuals and planets in order to continue its vertical ascension. Talking about ascension, we also have to say that we have reached the point where the planet in its entirety must ascend. That is to say, the spirit inhabiting the planet itself. I'm talking to the one that we name Gaia. Some of us know it more commonly with the name Urantia. That particular entity, that being that has reached a different stage in its evolutionary ascent, must move on. And those who are not capable of living on its surface or within must leave the sphere so that it can continue its ascent properly without suffering, without really worrying about the others that she's leaving behind. So we have to move beyond that point. Unfortunately, those who are in control of the planet are really making it very difficult for the planet to do so. We have to say that it is too late. It is not dependent upon them to either allow or prohibit that particular ascent, because it will take place with and probably without them. That is what the nature of things is. Simply. There is no if or buts about it. That is simply what it is. It will not be allowed to have war, that continuous war on the planet, because what it does is basically decrease the density of the planet and making it hard for the planet to ascend. Therefore, such activities are no longer allowed, so that the ascent must be done properly. We, your brothers and sisters of the stars, speaking through this individual called Rubens, urge you, we insist, that you make amend, that you go within yourselves to allow a communication to take place, because we are always at your disposal. We are here to help. We are not separate from you. We are closer than you think. Some of us are actually here in bodies, in material bodies as you are. But we urge you to take the next step and join us in this celebration that is taking place, despite all the suffering. But the celebration is about the ascension of Earth and its children. This chronicle has no particular programming or agenda to follow. However, we are helping Rubens to follow a certain direction, and we know where that direction is heading, where it is supposed to go exactly. He does not know. We speak through him. He's completely aware of what's taking place, however. We are the one who are in control. There's a reason for that. The diseases that are plaguing Earth must also, in conjunction with what we are planning, they must end at one time or another, rather sooner than later, as I have said, and as we have said previously. Some of those were done not necessarily out of ill faith or ill will, but many of them were done consistently with the purpose of injecting men with diseases that have the aim of eliminating their life, as they say, which is simply to say that it brings them to a point where they can no longer remain in the earthly vehicle called a body. Therefore, they must part. There is a lot of parting that will take place by many, many, many modes, many ways in which death will occur to the children of Earth. Some of them will be by disease, what you call natural diseases. Many of them not natural. Some of them will take place due to geological displacements. Some others will simply take place because it is time for the one inhabiting the body to leave this realm, because their task has come to an end. So there are many ways in which many will depart this planet. And that is also part of the plan, because we have reached the point where the equilibrium that Earth itself must obtain will include the departure of so many that were not supposed to be on its surface. So do not be alarmed if you see a consistent departure from many of them. That is, as I said, or as we have said, part of the plan. It is simply time, children, brothers and sisters. And we are going to conclude this particular chronicle with that. What must take place will and is undergone.